In this series, I'll be trekking into hidden parts of Singapore. and learn how to fight it before encountering it. There are a few ways to do this. The two vaccines approved for use in Singapore, developed by Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna, both use what's called mRNA technology. Here's how it works. The coronavirus has a slight protein on its surface, which enables it to enter on cells and infect us. mRNA vaccines carry instructions on how to make this protein, which is harmless without the attached virus. Once injected into our body, our cells start pumping out these proteins, triggering our immune system, which learns how to identify and eliminate these foreign invaders. Our immune system then stores the cells as part of its memory, which it can rapidly recall to fight off the virus if we are ever infected by it. With both the Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna vaccines offered in Singapore, I want to know if one is better than the other. So I've arranged to speak to Professor Wee Eng Yong, the co-developer of a COVID-19 vaccine that is currently undergoing clinical trials.
My friends keep saying, which vaccine should I choose? What are the real differences between the two vaccines?
Essentially, there's not much difference. Efficacy of both vaccines is not the same. It's about 95%. The Pfizer vaccine is 2 doses, 21 days apart. The Moderna vaccine also requires 2 doses, 28 days apart. The main difference is that the dose of the two vaccines are different. So Pfizer is 30 micrograms, Moderna is 100 micrograms.
So I took the Moderna vaccine. Does that mean that it is 3 times more potent than the Pfizer vaccine?
No, yeah, it doesn't. The difference in the dose is a very practical issue because they have to make a guesswork as to where the sweet spot for the dose of the vaccine is going to be. Pfizer narrowed it down to 30, Moderna narrowed it down to 100. I think in reality it's somewhere in between.
So what explains the gap between Pfizer and Moderna, the 21 days and the 28 days, and does it matter?
It doesn't matter. By and large, the rule of thumb is that about a month apart is about right. If you stretch out a bit more, in terms of the effect of the vaccination, it actually could be even better because you're giving the immune system time to learn. The problem though is that people tend to forget to come down if you stretch it out more.
What about side effects then? Does it mean that if it's a higher dosage, you are going to get more side effects?
It does look that way, at least in the phase 3 trial data, where especially on the second dose, the reaction to the side effects like tiredness, the rate of fever, that appears to be more common in the Moderna vaccine compared to the Pfizer vaccine. But we cannot be sure that it's entirely due to dose.
What causes side effects to begin with?
Is our immune response to the vaccine. The side effects is in some way a good sign that your immune system is reacting to the vaccine. But for those who did not experience any side effects, the data is showing that you are still getting a response.
For a couple of hours last night, I did feel anything that was unusual to my body. And then 4 hours later, when the soreness set in in the upper arm area near the injection site, it got uncomfortable numbness and lost some sleep in the middle of the night. But otherwise, this morning I was able to get up, go to work, my arm has somehow to lift something heavy, but other than that, no side effects.
I'm not the only one experiencing some
There's been a recent resurgence of community cases.
The authorities are still encouraging people to be vaccinated despite an increasing number of vaccinated individuals getting infected.
And some of them had already been fully vaccinated.
Vaccination doesn't provide 100% protection.
To find out how effective the vaccines really are, I've arranged to speak to Dr. Leong Hong Nam. Dr. Leong has had hands-on experience managing several disease outbreaks, including the SARS outbreak in 2003. Hey, Dr. Leong, why are we still seeing people who get infected after they have been vaccinated?
Now what we're seeing are actually mutants. Mutants which are quite different from the original strand. In fact, it's like the syllabus that has been changed. So now when I used to score 95 marks for this standard syllabus exams, I do worse off because it's a totally different mutant, it's a totally different syllabus. But even if we went back to the original strain, the efficacy was only 95%, which means more than 100 people there are, 5 of them will still end up with illness, but we understand that to be wrong.
What I'm hearing a lot is people around me saying that you see, you get vaccinated, you still can get infected. So what is the point of getting vaccinated?
Vaccination changes a severe disease from mild disease to a asymptomatic disease. So our responsibility is not just about not falling sick with COVID-19, but it's also preventing the severe forms which require oxygen or require advanced care. Because eventually you don't want to destroy your hospital or your healthcare system.
How long will that protection last?
Overall, about 30% of us will have very long-lasting antibodies that will cope, and the other 70%
ready to feel the burn with the latest workout trends in Korea. Government Insiders Picks, Sunday on CNA. This program is brought to you by the Government Good Office. This June, Asia's past, present and future comes together. Race to feed the world as scientists, farmers and entrepreneurs solve the impending food crisis. Journalist Ilma Rocky unveils the transformation of Japan's social and political identity in Deciphering Japan, and relive the history of the Chinese Communist Party as it marks 100 years of existence. This June on CNA.
So little land with so many mouths to feed.
Land matters. The future is going to be really challenging.
Dan akhirnya dibuang seperti ini dengan mubazir sangat disayangkan sekali. Ini adalah solusi.
We can turn Singapore into a protein powerhouse overnight, but people don't understand what we're doing.
Women farmers are the solution for the food security problem.
Race to Feed the World, Monday on CNN.
Looking at us with his eyes like
Literature. And in this series, we'll be tracking Italian parts of Singapore to find out what's being done to save biodiversity. And if we're running out of time, it's an update. Video on demand, CNA.com.
second wave of COVID-19 is pushing India's healthcare system to the brink and putting the brakes on the country's economic recovery. In many states have imposed harsh orders, including lockdowns, and the pandemic is affecting poor-paying households and businesses. In our next Asia First, find out how experts are lowering their growth forecasts and saying fiscal support is urgently needed.
I've been learning about the efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccines, and it turns out the vaccines don't offer the same level of protection for everyone. By setting traps tomorrow, I want to make sure that my immune system is in top shape. That 9.7 exercising the day before the injection is supposed to boost the effectiveness of the vaccine. I've also learned that there are so many tips to manage your side effects. To help me separate food from fiction, is to consider structure that provides means to achieve medicine centers in exercising the day before the injection.
We can do it. Some to you.
Okay, this is it. Day of jab number 2. I got enough sleep. I have been exercising and eating normally, so I think I'm all good. I can't wait for it. Actually, I just want to get it over and done with. Thank you.
It's finally time for my second jab, and I think I'm as prepared as I'll ever be.
Hey,
Mayflower, lagyan ng film, funded vaccine.
From the top stories in Asia,
A quick portable way of testing for COVID-19 in just 5 minutes.
it's breaking news in the US and Europe.
President-elect Joe Biden is set to formally introduce his COVID-19.
With an eye on markets opening across the world,
Wall Street's major indices all closed about by double-digit percentage gains.
it's the One Bulletin. It offers you a global perspective. Real tonight, daily, on CMA.
I long to visit the other side of the Korean border. The desire has grown stronger ever since I started reporting on the Korean Peninsula. Many times, my dream to cross into the north had turned into despair. A recent development has restored my belief that there's still hope. It's not about unification, it is more about reuniting Koreans truly separated by politics and ideology.
This is Asia Now.
Since humans able to complete the Tangerang in Jakarta, I'm Angela Lim. At the south, a new COVID-19 variant detected in Vietnam. It's believed to be a hybrid of the mutations first detected in India and the UK. Malaysia's soaring COVID-19 infections hit a new high. The country is set to go into total lockdown for 2 weeks starting from Tuesday. And Australian police make arrests as hundreds hold anti-lockdown and vaccination protests across Melbourne. Vietnam has detected a new COVID-19 variant that spreads quickly through the air. It says the strain is a mix of the mutations first discovered in India and the UK. The country's health minister says the new variant was identified after genetic sequencing was carried out on several COVID-19 patients. It's said to be much more transmissible than previously known variants. Vietnam is reported to find 7 different variants, including those first detected in the UK, India, and South Africa. Vietnam's latest coronavirus wave has seen more than 3,600 local cases in 33 cities and provinces. Factory zones in 2 northern provinces account for a large number of cases. The country reported 49 new local infections, of which 46 are in Ban Kiang. The province has around 1,900 cases, and neighboring Bac Ninh has reported about 740 cases. Malaysia has reported more than 9,000 new COVID-19 cases, its highest daily count since the start of the pandemic. The country has logged 5 straight days of record new infections, and that brings the total number of cases in the country to more than 550,000. 70,000 personnel from police and agencies under the Home Ministry will be deployed to ensure compliance when Malaysia enters a full COVID-19 lockdown for 2 weeks from Tuesday. Roadblocks throughout the country will be increased from 600 to more than 800, according to local media. Only essential economic and service sectors are allowed to operate during this period. Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin says the decision to impose the total lockdown is due to the worsening outbreak and the risk of new variants. Elsewhere, hundreds have taken to the streets of Melbourne to protest COVID-19 lockdowns and vaccinations. Victoria State has reported 5 new COVID-19 cases amid a strict week-long lockdown. The new infections takes its latest cluster to 35. Now it's feared that thousands are now at risk as the number of exposure sites visited by infected patients grows to more than 150. Police tackled several protesters and arrested 14 people as a gathering in Melbourne's central business district turned violent. This is the state's 4th coronavirus lockdown. Gatherings, including protests, are currently banned in Victoria. Residents may only leave their houses for vaccinations, essential work, healthcare, grocery shopping, and exercise.
The virus does not respond to protests. The virus responds to public health measures. There are 5 legal reasons to leave your home. Protesting against a virus isn't going to work. And if you do, you are breaching the public health orders, and Victoria Police will hold you to account for that, and that involves significant fines.
On On the opposite side of the spectrum, some groups have been rushing to get vaccinated. Authorities have reported hours-long queues at vaccination centres. They've been trying to book a shot or get one by walking in. A designated state hotline for booking has crashed continually since Thursday.
What we are now facing for the first time is an outbreak with vaccines available, and over the last few days we've seen record numbers of people coming forward to be vaccinated. So my message is, don't give up. We're doing everything we possibly can. Thousands and thousands of people are getting through the system.
Australia has effectively contained all past outbreaks through speedy contact tracing, snap lockdowns, and strict regional border controls. Its latest outbreak was caused by a traveller who left hotel quarantine in South Australia after testing negative, but later tested positive in Melbourne. While Taiwan is reviewing current COVID-19 measures under its Level 3 virus alert, the government will announce updates early next week. That's as more than 490 new cases are recorded, mostly local transmissions. At least 21 more people have lost their lives. Taipei and New Taipei cities are moving to prepare for lockdowns under a potential Level 4 alert. Authorities will execute a simulation drill tomorrow. It includes store closures and limited transportation. Residents may only leave their homes for essential purposes. Health officials say the most urgent task is to make sure testing capacity is adequate. There have been delays in reporting positive cases. Authorities are also struggling to search for more than 300 missing people. They have tested positive but could not be contacted. And mass testing for COVID-19 is underway in the southern Chinese city of Guangzhou. Authorities there are clamping down on a recent rise in infections. A neighborhood in Guangzhou city center has been ordered shut, and residents are told to stay home. People in 4 nearby districts have also been ordered to limit outdoor activity. Guangzhou has reported 2 new locally transmitted cases. 20 new infections have been recorded there over the past week. Officials are also testing residents in nearby Shenzhen. China has reported a handful of new cases every day, but it says almost all are infected abroad. The country, meanwhile, has administered 603 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines so far. While Singapore reports 23 new community COVID-19 cases today, 4 of them are unlinked. There are no cases in the dormitories. Of the linked cases, 13 have been placed on quarantine and 6 were detected through surveillance. There are also 10 imported cases, including 5 returning Singaporeans or permanent residents. All were placed on stay-home notice upon arrival. The 33 new cases take the national tally past 62,000. And staying in Singapore, 38 people are being investigated for breaching COVID-19 regulations at illegal public entertainment outlets. They include several teenagers. The police have raided 2 places during the current period of heightened alert, which limits social gatherings to 2. In the first instance, about 2 weeks ago, officers found 9 people drinking alcohol and socializing at an industrial unit along Jalan Besar. Public entertainment and liquor were believed to have been provided at the venue illegally. Police also seized karaoke equipment. A 27-year-old man believed to be the operator of the unit is being investigated. A week later, police found 29 people, with the youngest aged 14, involved in similar activities at an office unit along Paya Lebar. 4 males between 15 and 18 years old were arrested for suspected drug-related offences. The 15-year-old is believed to be the operator of the unit. Those found guilty of providing public entertainment and supplying liquor without a licence may be fined up to $40,000. And up next on Asia Now, 5 remain in hospital following the LRT accident in Kuala Lumpur. Plus, Hong Kong's annual Tiananmen Square Vigil back for the 2nd year in a row.
Should you use your CPF for property investment? Come to the Singapore Property Show 2021 to learn more from leading property market experts in 40 informative webinars. Our top flight speakers will be covering a wide range of topics to help you make a most informed decision. How do you make the most of your CPF for property investment? Are ECs still the golden goose? Is owning multiple properties only for the wealthy? What kind of property is in demand by district? Get these answers and more. Plus, stand to win $8,000 worth of cash prizes. Join us at our webinars this weekend on 29th and 30th May for essential property investment advice. What are you waiting for? Visit sps2021.99.co to register now. The Singapore Property Show 2021 is proudly organised by MediaCorp and our esteemed partners.
Malaysia's recent train accident have been discharged. 5 remain in hospital, with 3 expected to recover in the coming days. More than 200 people were injured after 2 trains collided on the Kuala Lumpur LRT line. The railway operator Pancoran is offering about $240 in compensation to all victims. Medical expenses and lost income will also be covered. At the same time, Malaysia's transport minister says any victim is welcome to take legal action against Pancoran, but he reiterated the LRT system remains safe and reliable. Preliminary investigations indicate driver negligence caused the crash. He's accused of driving his train in the wrong direction. Final investigation results are expected in 2 weeks. It's the first major metro accident on the subway system after 23 years in operation. Hong Kong officials have warned the public not to take part in this year's Tiananmen Square events on the 4th of June. It said the gatherings are illegal. Offenders could face up to 5 years in prison and face charges for violating COVID-19 rules. Police have banned the annual candlelight vigil at Victoria Park, citing the coronavirus pandemic. A rally to mark the 1989 Tiananmen Square incident next Sunday has also been banned. Officials said the number of COVID-19 infections has yet to come under control, while vaccination rollout in Hong Kong has been slow. Organisers have accused the government of using the pandemic as an excuse to stop people from commemorating June 4th. The candlelight vigil usually attracts tens of thousands. It was banned last year for the first time in 30 years, but thousands showed up anyway. The maiden voyage of a new British aircraft carrier aims to show its allies that post-Brexit Britain is ready to defend Western interests. The UK is also eager to see China respect international rules. This according to Commodore Steve Morehouse, who's captain of the aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth.
The UK's new $4.2 billion aircraft carrier is underway on its maiden voyage, an 8-month tour that will cross through the South China Sea and in doing so sent a clear signal to Beijing. Fighter jets took off from the deck of the HMS Queen Elizabeth this week in the Mediterranean as part of NATO exercises. Watching the drills was NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg himself.
It sends a message of NATO's resolve and our capability and willingness to defend all allies against any threat. And it also sends a message of how NATO allies can operate together.
China claims 90% of the South China Sea, although several regional countries contest the boundaries, and the US has regularly sent warships through the area. Britain was the main battlefield ally of the US in Iraq and Afghanistan, and alongside France, the principal military power in the since the Cold War late last year, partly in response to those concerns.
It shows that we're a global navy and wanting to be back out there. We'll be operating with the United States, but also regional partners, Singapore, Japan, Republic of Korea, other ASEAN nations. Will not only be exercising militarily, but also supporting the government's wider objectives in the region. The economies out there are growing. It's an increasingly important part of the world. So hopefully the aim for us is this deployment will be the first of a more persistent presence for the United Kingdom in that region.
US President Joe Biden has proposed a $6 trillion budget for 2022. It combines its existing infrastructure, education, and social welfare plans into one huge package aimed at transforming the economy. It would take government spending to its highest level since World War II. Jakarta reports from Washington.
Joe Biden's first budget of his presidency seeks to build upon measures he's already introduced in his $2.3 trillion American Jobs Plan and $1.9 trillion American Families Plan. Trillions of dollars are earmarked towards measures such as pandemic preparedness, combating climate change, and investing in research and development. Annual government spending is expected to rise to $8.2 trillion by the end of 2031. Biden's administration says this staggering injection of funds is necessary to allow the United States to compete with other countries, most notably China. It requests a 10% increase in the State Department's budget compared to last year, which a State Department spokesperson said would allow the United States to engage China in the Indo-Pacific and globally from a position of collective strength. Now, the White House predicts that economic growth would fall to 2% or less from 2022 to the end of the decade if the president's proposals are not approved. Now, it plans to pay for the budget by increasing taxes on top earners and on corporations, effectively boosting the middle classes at the expense of the rich. But Republicans are pushing back against the cost of all of this, and having already raised debt and inflationary concerns regarding Joe Biden's existing jobs and families proposals. And they're also resisting what they see as unnecessary government overreach, with trillions of dollars going towards social policies such as tackling inequality and expanding health coverage.
And in Singapore, an app to block potential scam-related texts and calls has been downloaded by nearly 120,000 people since it's launched in November. Here's how the app works. For unwanted messages, AI is used to identify and filter out potential scam texts, sending them to the phone's junk folder. It also blocks suspicious messages and calls from numbers reported earlier by users. About 720,000 scam-related messages have been reported so far, with 5,500 suspicious numbers blocked. Last year, over $60 million was lost in Singapore from scams like phishing, loan, and China officials impersonation cases. A Scam Shield user says that she almost never gets harassed anymore.
Prior to downloading Scam Shield, I got about 4 to 5 scam messages in a week, and I received calls from numbers that I didn't recognize like every other day. But after downloading and using Scam Shield for about 4 months now, I've received barely any calls, perhaps about 1 call per month. The Anti-Scam Center reviews, sends mix, and takes preventive actions on the information received from Scam Shield. The information allows the Anti-Scam Center to detect emerging scam trends and provide timely advisories to warn the public about the latest scam trends promptly.
And still ahead on Asia Now, wild monkeys rescued while being smuggled into Thailand. And later, climate change hits the US hard, but Alaska is taking most of the heat.
Have fun while breaking a sweat on your next visit to Gunman. Enjoy the weightlessness of bungee fitness, or learn the health benefits of pole dancing. So don't miss the opportunity to feel the burn with the latest workout trends in Korea. Gunman Insider's Picks, Sunday on CNA. This program is brought to you by the Gunman Go Office. This June, Asia's past, present and future comes together
women farmers and the solution for the food security problem.
Race to Feed the World, Monday on CNN.
Just peed us with his eyes wide open. Oh, so cute.
Literature Show. And in this series, I'll be tracking into hidden parts of Singapore.
Oh my god,
To find out what's being done to save biodiversity.
Every animal plays a significant role.
And if we're running out of time, it's in our nature. Video on demand on CNA.Asia.
Thai wildlife authorities have rescued over 100 long-tailed macaques that were being smuggled in the back of a pickup truck. The truck was intercepted at a checkpoint while on its way to a Thai province bordering Cambodia. It was transporting the monkeys in blue mesh bags stashed together in various plastic baskets. The macaques could be seen struggling and gasping for air when authorities found them. 4 are in critical condition, while 18 have died. The driver has been detained for wildlife smuggling.
สุขภาพลิงทั้งหมด80ตัวรวมถึงตัวที่เสียชีวิตด้วยนะครับสุขภาพค่อนข้างที่จะอ่อนเพลียนะครับร่างกายขาดน้ำเป็นเวลานานแล้วก็บางตัวก็จะมีปัญหาเรื่องของระบบทางเดินหายใจนะครับเนื่องมาจากความแออัดในระหว่างการรับมอบยา
Authorities in Canada have made a shocking discovery at the site of a former boarding school set up more than a century ago to assimilate the country's indigenous people.
Authorities in Canada have uncovered the remains of 215 children, some as young as 3 years old, at the site of a former residential school for Indigenous students. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau described the discovery as heartbreaking. The children were students at the Kamloops Indian Residential School in British Columbia, which closed in 1978, according to the Kamloops-Tisquequapo Nation. Chief Roseanne Casimir said in a statement that their remains were found with the help of a ground-penetrating radar specialist. In 2015, a 6-year investigation into Canada's now-defunct residential school system found that it committed cultural genocide, forcibly separating Indigenous children from their families. The report documented horrific physical abuse, rape, malnutrition, and other atrocities suffered by many of the 150,000 children who attended the schools, which were typically run by Christian churches from the 1840s to the 1990s. It found more than 4,100 children died while attending the schools. That figure does not appear to include the previously undocumented discovery of the 215 children buried under what was once Canada's longest residential school.
There's nothing more painful in life than losing a child. My heart breaks today thinking of all the loving parents who never saw their children return home and who were never granted the dignity of knowing what happened.
In 2008, the Canadian government formally apologized for the residential school system. In a tweet, Trudeau called the news a painful reminder of that dark and shameful chapter of our country's history. The Kamloops-Tisquequapo Nation said it was reaching out to the home communities of the victims. They expect to have preliminary findings by mid-June.
Alaska is seeing temperatures increase twice as fast as in the rest of the United States. Rising sea levels are causing coastal erosion, pushing some communities inland. Volatile summer storms are also sparking massive wildfires. All of that is putting a much bigger strain on the communities who rely on the land to survive. Nick Harper reports from Anchorage.
Rural Alaska, dog sledding is still part of everyday life. Megan Wisma, the only Vietnamese musher in the state, moved to the US about a decade ago, and sledding has taken some getting used to.
At first I'm very scared, very nervous. I crashed a lot, but after that I'm very confident. You know, I feel so free. You run a dog, you don't care about anything else, just a dog and you.
Her husband Dean became an overnight celebrity when he won the annual Iditarod in 1984, a grueling 1,500-kilometre solo sledding journey in minus 50 Celsius temperatures. He now runs sledding tours and leases his dogs to other teams. But the race route has been changed several times in recent years, as warmer weather has meant not enough snow on the ground, putting the sport and Dean's livelihood in jeopardy.
Well, you don't want to keep having races that have an asterisk behind them. You would like to have this be a real Iditarod on the original
them are out. We don't have ourselves don't have much control over that, so we're just all hoping that it remains the same and stays a good quality race.
Rural, often native communities are the hardest hit in the state. The wild fish they rely on for food is dying off in warmer waters.
It's all connected. So when you have, say, the entire Yukon River watershed changing, where water temperatures, for example, are rising, that impacts, for example, salmon throughout the entire watershed, over 1,000, plus miles from the Yukon River Delta all the way up over into Canada.
Just an hour outside of the state's largest city, Anchorage, is one of the most visible signs of creeping change. 100 years ago, the Portage Glacier was right here on the very spot where I'm standing. In the 1980s, when they built this visitor centre, it had receded, but you could still see it. Today, you can't see it. It's receded even further and is now about 4 kilometres away, around the bend in that valley. Alaska has more glaciers than any other US state, but some studies suggest they're melting 100 times quicker than previously thought. Rising temperatures are also pushing wildlife further north in search of colder areas. Nicole Schmidt from the Alaska Wildlife Alliance says preserving wildlife is hard in a state where the biggest revenue earner remains oil and gas.
I think the time for us to keep our head in the sand and pretend that things are going along as normal has well passed, and so that's something we're really working on. It depends on what level you're looking at, but the state as a whole, I mean, our governor has not taken a really strong stance on climate change, and we have yet to see how the Biden administration incorporates their plans for climate change in Alaska.
The state is trying to balance the short-term needs of Alaskans with the long-term needs of Alaska. With climate change advocates warning now is no longer the time to just go with the flow. Nick Harper, CNA, Alaska.
And that's Asia Now for this hour. Headlines anytime at cna.asia. Plus, we're also on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Thanks for watching.
Skies. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways. Sponsored by Qatar Airways. Myanmar opening its doors to the world, but still much work is needed. The journey hasn't been easy, with pressure from within and without. Twists and turns line the way, but even when it's down, this country never stops trying. This is a country that can bank on its people. People who have the power to chart Myanmar's path. And people who have stories to tell the world.
The ideas, aspirations and attitudes of Singaporeans are changing the nation that raised them.
Passionate Singaporeans living out their very ambitious dreams.
We're looking to write a story of greatness by showing people back to the community.
I guess a part of me wanted to connect even deeper with the people.
we as Singaporeans are able to have a satellite that we can truly say was conceived, designed, engineered, and built in Singapore.
Wow, how wonderful would it be?
In Singapore, we don't give up.
I'm Anthony, and I've been cooking for 15 years. Food is my ultimate bias. Traveling is a chance for me to mostly eat, but it's not eating for gluttony's sake, it's eating to explore a different culture. This trip, I think, is just to get out of my comfort zone, to discover what I can do, who I am. The scenery is beautiful. There's the mist rolling in, and the sun is slowly rising, and there's all this greenery, but like